Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Stacey Skrzak in for Eliza tonight. We're continuing our coverage of the death of Sonya Massey. A Sangamon County deputy shot and killed her in her home earlier this month. Body camera footage released earlier this week shows the moment she was shot. Former deputy Sean Grayson is charged with first-degree murder, and we are bringing you our Carson Gordy joining us live in Springfield, where supporters are holding a protest. Carson?
It's a walk that started at Unique's Bar and Grill about 12 minutes away from here. Protesters, hundreds of them, marching down to the Sangamon County building. That's where former Deputy Sean Grayson used to work before he was fired after body cam footage showed him shooting Sonya Massey in the face. This was after Massey called 911 for help. We're going to step out of the frame and just show the scene right now. This area has been a location for multiple protests in the honor of Sonya Massey. Earlier, I saw signs that said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." That was one of Sonya's last words that she said to the deputy. Another sign said that Sonya should still be alive. And the last sign was "Justice for Sonya Massey." I spoke to the organizer of the event. This march was scheduled to keep awareness and attention following her death. In the past couple of weeks, this story has become national news. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Carson. Fox Illinois' Julia Rosier spoke with a professor in Pennsylvania about the body camera footage from the night of Massey's death. She joins us now in studio with more. Julia?
Stacey, that's right. I spoke with Kalfani Teray. He's an assistant professor of criminal justice and African American studies at Widener University in Pennsylvania. Before that, he was a police officer in Georgia. He broke down his thoughts on the body camera footage.
My reaction was tears.
The body camera footage of the shooting of Sonya Massey continues to sweep the nation.
This happens in fractions of a second that he loses any temperament, any sense of restraint that is expected of an officer.
Kalfani Teray is an assistant professor of criminal justice and African American studies at Widener University in Pennsylvania. But before, he was a police officer in Georgia for 5 years. He also works in an extended police academy with the NYPD for the last 3 years.
I will simply say to you that upon entering her home, it became clear to me that she wasn't a threat to the officers.
Teray called the body camera footage mind-boggling.
Officer Grayson was extremely aggressive and condescending from the point that he encountered her. I'm standing outside her door. I mean, even joking about the possibility of her being already dead.
Teray thinks the deputy went too far.
The goal of it is to keep citizens or persons out of harm's way, to include the officer or the responding officers. And that gaining control of a threat may involve incapacitation, which is lethal force, further down the continuum. But you only use the level of force which is necessary to manage the threat or manage the problem.
Teray tells me body cameras for law enforcement are very important for transparency, especially for the public. He believes that cameras should be activated at all times. In studio, I'm Julia Rosier. Back to you.
Thanks, Julia. Under the Law Enforcement Officer Worn Body Camera Act, officers assigned to wear cameras must have their camera on at all times when they are on duty. Now, we do have new details on the deputy who was arrested for shooting Sonya Massey. We've learned Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell knew about Sean Grayson's previous brushes with the law and decided to hire him anyway. Sean Grayson has 2 previous DUI arrests. The first DUI was in 2015, the second in 2016 for driving on a suspended license. Sonya Massey's death has sparked new calls for legislative reform when it comes to policing. State Senator Doris Turner has vowed to do what she can to institute change in Illinois. Nationally, lawmakers have called for the passage of the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Dawn Sterling. We're continuing our coverage of the death of Sonya Massey. Sonya was shot and killed on July 6th during an encounter with Sangamon County deputies. Her family and the Springfield community are continuing to demand justice, with protests and marches happening around the capital city. Massey's family is making sure her case stays front and center. Tonight, a rally made its way through Springfield calling for justice. Fox Illinois' Carson Gordy joins us in the studio with the latest.
With calls and chants, protesters made clear they want justice and accountability for the death of Sonya Massey. A protest had started in a parking lot.
It was a senseless killing, and it's been happening so many times.
Before marching a half a mile to the Sangamon County complex.
Top to bottom. Accountability, top to bottom, nationwide. This is beautiful, the fact that it's nationwide.
Hundreds of people continued to call and chant for justice for Sonya Massey, not wanting her name to fade away after she was shot and killed by a Sangamon County deputy.
No peace! Prosecute the police!
The shooting of Sonya Massey has become a national story, with questions being raised about the former deputy Sean Grayson's arrest history and 6 jobs in law enforcement in 4 years. Signs read, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," one of Massey's last words to the deputy who shot her.
We rebuke any evil in the
People said the protests need to continue.
This is what we need to do every day, and cannot let our good sister's name go in vain. Holding everybody accountable. I'm here because y'all hold me accountable. And I want to see that same thing to everybody in the county board building. Hold them accountable.
As the protest was wrapping up, a woman called on people to attend the Sangamon County Board meeting on August 13th and voice their concerns to officials. I'm Carson Gordy. Back to you.
Thank you, Carson. And happening tomorrow, civil rights attorney Ben Crump will hold another news conference with more details on the case. According to his office, the autopsy report for Sonya Massey is set to be released tomorrow. And we have new details on the deputy arrested for shooting Sonya Massey. We have learned Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell knew about Sean Grayson's previous brushes with the law and decided to hire him anyway. Sean Grayson has 2 previous DUI arrests, the first in 2015, the second DUI in 2016 for driving on a suspended license. Now, Grayson's former commanding officer from the United States Army mentioned in a letter of recommendation, and it says, quote, "Aside from Mr. Grayson's DUI, there were no other issues he had during his tenure in the Army," end quote. The body camera footage of the shooting was released earlier this week. It shows the minutes leading up to when Sonya Massey was shot by Sean Grayson. The video was also cited in the state's attorney's petition to keep Grayson detained until his trial.